Hello and welcome back. We are going to proceed from where we left during the last video, that is question number 8. But before we start, if this happens to be your first time on this channel, please take a second and tap on the subscribe button and also turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any videos that I upload. So let's go straight away to question number 8. So question number 8 states that a retailer bought a bag of tea leaves. If the retailer were to repack the tea leaves into smaller packets of either 40 grams, 250 grams, or 350 grams, determine the least mass in grams of the tea leaves in the bag. So a retailer has a bag of tea leaves that way, and this retailer is supposed to repack these tea leaves into smaller packets, and these packets are either of 40 grams, 250 grams, or 350 grams. So we are required to find the least mass of this bag in grams. So what we mean here is that this retailer can either repack these tea leaves into packets of 40 grams and there is no remainder, that is none of the tea leaves, or there are no tea leaves left in this large bag. Or the retailer can repack into packets of 250 grams and there will still be no tea leaves left in this bag, and the same case for the packets of 350 grams. So in other words, we are required to find the least common mass. The least common mass, that means the LCM, which is also known as the least common multiple. Now I know there are several ways of getting the LCM, but we're going to use the one whereby we draw some kind of a table this way, and we're going to have 40 there, and then 250, and then 350, and then we're going to start dividing through with the least prime number, which is 2. Okay, so when we divide through by 2, it's going to be 20, 125, and 175. Then what we do is that we check whether we can still divide through by 2. If any of these three numbers is divisible by 2, then we're going to divide through by 2. So for this case, 20 is divisible by 2. So we are still going to divide by 2 further. So it's going to be 10. So 125 is not divisible by 2. So what we do is that we just drop it down here as 125. And the same case for 175, since it is not divisible by 2 either. So we can see that we still have 10. 10 is divisible by 2, so we are still going to divide through by 2. We have said that even if it's only one number or figure that is divisible by 2, we are going to divide through by 2. We divide until none of these three figures is divisible by 2. So by 2 it's going to be 5. Then, as we said, since 125 is not divisible by 2, we're going to drop it down here as 125, and also the other one as 175. So we can now move on to the next prime number, that is 3, since none of these is divisible by 2 any further. So we can move to 3 and check whether 3 is divisible by any of them. So 5 is not divisible by 3, 125 is not divisible by 3, and 175 also is not divisible by 3. So we are going to move on to the next prime number, which is 5. Okay, so 5 divided by 5 is 1, 125 by 5 is 25, and then we have 35. Okay, 25 and 35 are still divisible by 5, so we are still going to put a 5 there, or to divide through by 5. So this one we're going to drop it down here, and then 25 by 5 is 5, 35 by 5 is 7. Okay, then I believe you can now see the trend. So we are still going to divide by 5, so it's going to be 1, 1, and then 7, and then finally we're going to divide through by 7 till we cannot divide any further. So then what we do is that we're going to pick up these figures and write them as 2 times 2 times 2 times 5 times 5 times 7, or rather you can write it as 2 to the power of 3 multiplied by 5 squared, and then times 7. So you can work out this. You can use your calculators, and when you work out this, it's going to be sorry, I forgot to indicate another 5. So you can see we have 3 5s. Okay, 5 is repeated thrice, so it's 5 times 5 times another 5. I'm sorry for that. So this should be 5 to the power of 3. 5 to the power of 3. So when you work out these, it's going to be 7,000, and since we were dealing with mass, the units should be in grams, as we are required to do. So the least mass of the tea leaves in that bag should be 7,000 grams. So if just to confirm whether we did the correct thing, if we go back to where we were repacking our mass, so we have found out that the mass of this bag is 7,000 grams. So if the retailer is to repack into packets of 40 grams, let's see whether there will be any remainder. As we said, there should be no remainder. So 7,000 divided by 40, it's going to be 175 packets. So you can see the mass of 7,000 grams fits into exactly 175 packets, and the same case is going to be for 250 grams. If you want to check how many packets, you just divide 7,000 grams by 250 grams, and the same case for 350 grams. So I believe that you have understood that question, and we can move on to the next question, which is question number 9. So question number 9 states that given that sine 2x is equal to the cosine of 3x minus 10, find tan x correct to 4 significant figures. So we are given that sine 2x is equal to the cosine of 3x minus 10. So we are required to find the value of the tangent of x correct to 4 significant figures. Now, sometime back in the past, we learnt, or we made an introduction to trigonometry, and we came up, or just to take you back, so if that is a triangle, a right angled triangle, and this angle is theta, then definitely this other angle is 90 minus theta, since Since this angle is already 90 degrees, these two other angles should add up to 90 degrees. So in that video, which I'm going to provide a link to it in the description box, so that if you did not get a chance to learn about trigonometry, you can refer to it. We came up with a relationship that the sine of this angle, which is theta, is equal to the cosine of this other angle, which is 90 minus theta. Okay, so the sine of this angle is equal to the cosine of this other angle, and as we have said, these two angles should add up to 90 degrees. So since we have that relationship, for the sine of 2x, so assume this angle now is 2x. So for the sine of this angle to be equal to the cosine of this other angle, then it means that this angle plus this angle should give us 90 degrees. In other words, they should be complementary angles, that is, they should add up to 90 degrees. So what we should do is that we're going to form an equation such that if we add this angle, which is 2x, to this other angle, which is 3x minus 10, we should get 90 degrees. Okay, so we're going to work out the value of x. So when we put like terms together, we have 2x plus 3x, it's 5x, and then we can add 10 to both sides so that this cancels out. Okay, we're going to have, so this is going to cancel out, and then 90 plus 10 is going to be 100. So this means that when we divide both sides by 5, the value of x is going to be 20 degrees. But the question required us to find the tangent of x, or the tan of x, and since we now have x as 20 degrees, the tan of x is going to be, so the tan of 20, so you can go to your calculators and get the value of tan 20, which is going to be 0.36397. But going back to the question, we were required to give our answer correct to 4 significant figures. Okay, so we are going to make it to 4 significant figures. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So the fifth one, we're going to round it off. So it's going to be, we're going to add 1 here, so it's going to be 0, 4, and then 6, 3. So it's going to be 0.3640. So that is going to be the tan of x. So once again, I'm going to leave a link to that video about or where we made an introduction to trigonometry in the description box, so that if you did not get a chance to watch it, you can visit that video and get to learn more about trigonometry. So we can move on to question number 10. So question number 10 states that a tourist converted 5,820 US dollars into Kenyan shillings at the rate of Kenyan shillings 102 per dollar. Then while in Kenya, he spent 450,000 Kenyan shillings and converted the balance into dollars at the rate of Kenyan shillings 103 per dollar. So calculate the amount of money to the nearest dollar that remained. So a tourist arrived in Kenya with 5,820. $1,820 US. Okay, but since the tourist cannot spend the money while in dollars, he or she needs to convert these dollars into Kenyan shillings, and the rate of conversion is that $1 $1 is equal to 102 Kenyan shillings. So we need to find the amount in Kenyan shillings that this tourist arrived with in Kenya. So if $1 is equal to 102 Kenyan shillings, what about 5,820 US? So we are going to cross multiply. So it's going to be 5820 multiplied by 102. So we're going to get Kenyan shillings 593,640. So this is the amount that the tourist arrived with in Kenyan shillings. So after we have converted it into Kenyan shillings. So then we are told that while in Kenya, this tourist spent a total of Kenyan shillings 450,000. Okay, so after spending a total of 450,000 shillings, let's find the amount of money that this tourist was left with. So what do? We're going to subtract 450,000 from 593,000. So it's going to be 0, 4, 6, 3, 4, 5. 1. So it's going to be 143,640 shillings. So this is the money that the tourist was left with in Kenyan shillings. So let's continue. So after spending 450,000, this tourist converted the balance into dollars at the rate of 103 shillings, Kenyan shillings per dollar. So calculate the amount of money to the nearest dollar that remained. So this is the money that remained in Kenyan shillings. So we are told that this tourist converted back this money into dollars at the rate of $1 being equal to 103 Kenyan shillings. So what about 143,640 shillings? That is the money that this tourist was left with. So it's going to be 143,640 divided by 103, which is going to be 1,394.56 US. But then going back to the question, we are required to give our answer to the nearest dollar. So 0.56 is more than half of a dollar. So we're going to round it off to the nearest dollar, or to add $1 here, so that we're going to have 1,395 US. So if this was less than half a dollar, let's say if it was 0.25, we just ignore it, since it's not half of a dollar, or it has not reached 0.5, which is half of a dollar. So our answer is now going to be 1,395 US. So this is the money that the tourist remained with in US dollars. So we're going to pick up from there in the next video. If you find it helpful, please consider subscribing, and let's meet in the next video. Goodbye for now.